Fox News alert, the Iranian regime's losing leverage fast as we continue to carry out thousands of sorties over enemy airspace. The crew on the USS Abe Lincoln has been launching jets day and night. The flight deck covers 4.5 acres. Pilots landing on it say it's like landing on a moving postage stamp. The Iranians hate Honest Abe. They lobbed 100 missiles at the Lincoln this week, and we knocked down every single one. We have full control of the skies, and our Thunderbolt Warthogs are wreaking havoc, pulverizing Iranian naval assets. The world's most dominant air superiority fighters also taking hearts, the F-22 Raptor. And we just got a rare Raptor shot. Here she is preparing for another night of combat. The Raptor flies where it wants and strikes what it wants. So far, we haven't missed much. Here's CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper.
U.S. forces have struck more than 10,000 military targets. In fact, we hit the 10,000th Iranian target just hours ago. Our precision strikes have overwhelmed Iranian air defenses, and our combat flights over Iran are having tangible effects. We've now destroyed 92% of the Iranian Navy's largest vessels.
The most destructive and precise bombers in history continue to lift off from air bases in England. More B-2s flew out today, headed to the fight.
Let me highlight our B-52 bomber force, which is executing a high volume of strikes into Iran and demonstrating our unmatched dominance in the air. Now, in their 8th decade of flight, our B-52 bombers are executing strikes into Iran with up to 70,000 pounds of munitions on each mission. Our B-52 pilots and aircrew embody the courage and resilience of the more than 50,000 American sons and daughters serving in uniform during this operation.
One of the core objectives of Operation Epic Fury is not only disarming Iran, but preventing them from rearming. And we're almost there.
Before Operation Epic Fury, Iran had large-scale manufacturing capacities to not only build naval vessels, missiles, and attack drones, but also to advance and proliferate these technologies to regional and global bad actors. Today, we've damaged or destroyed over 2/3 of Iran's missile, drone, and naval production facilities and shipyards, and we're not done yet.
Overnight, our Israeli allies struck 2 naval cruise missile production facilities. The IDF also struck a key Russian-Iranian weapons smuggling route in the Caspian Sea, which is going to set the Iranians back big and take a piece out of the Kremlin. For the first part of the war, the Iranians didn't fire a single ballistic missile at their neighbors, the UAE. They're running out of firepower, or they're trying to conserve it. Either way, the mullahs need a way out of this.
That's why you're beginning to see the regime look for an exit ramp. They recognize they are being crushed, their ability to attack American and ally forces, as well as their ability to defend their own territory is dwindling literally hour by hour.
It's been 48 hours of negotiations, and the clock's ticking. The 82nd Airborne Division's already en route to the Middle East as we speak. Portions of the elite paratrooper unit have spent the past days getting their reps in. Infiltrate, surveil, fight, and resupply, all under the cloak of darkness. The men have cutting-edge gear, some of the most advanced drones ever assembled. One source says, kind of feels like cheating. Another says, these switchblades are artillery on easy mode. And the commander-in-chief just has to give the order.
President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again. Their last miscalculation cost them their senior leadership, their Navy, their Air Force, and their air defense system. Any violence beyond this point will be because the Iranian regime refused to understand they have already been defeated and refused to come to a deal.
A White House advisor says the president's negotiating with 2 hands. Quote, Trump has a hand open for a deal, and the other's a fist, waiting to punch you in the effing face. 47 could be eyeing a knockout. Iran's crown jewel, Kharg Island. The Republican Guard's been preparing for battle, laying mines, booby-trapping, loading up on stingers. But retired top brass says our military is ready to shock and seize the terrain, by air, by sea. We don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, the Iranians won't know it's coming. The incoming USS Tripoli could be the platform for an air assault. The warship's currently carrying V-22 Ospreys, which are designed to take off and land vertically. Basically a fighter jet that can land like a helicopter, but fly at jet-like speeds. And capable of bringing Marine forces anywhere. Trump's been eyeing the island for 40 years. He told The Guardian in '88 this, 1 bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I'd do a number on Kharg Island. I'd go in and take it. Now, if we take Kharg, that's over 90% of Iran's crude exports. The island's geography is irreplaceable. The rest of their coastline's shallow water, so tankers can't dock. The regime makes $300 million a day shipping oil off that island. But if America takes it, we control the faucet and the regime. 90 targets on Kharg Island have already been hit, and we've also been softening up the coastline with strikes on Iranian ports, bases, and hitting their mobile missile launchers. That's fertile ground for the Marines to storm and secure the strait. 30 of our allies have agreed to sail their navies towards Hormuz, signaling this could be the final act, winning the peace. India has already deployed over half a dozen of their warships to the Gulf of Oman to escort their tankers, and 2 of them passed through the strait this week. Modi says he doesn't need Iran's permission to sail through, says it's international waters. And remember how the Iranians just gave Trump a present? Sources say the gift was allowing the safe passage of fuel tankers through the strait. To agree, that has been happening, just not tankers that are members of the American alliance. Mr. Wonderful, he's saying, stop being a panican.
We've got about 45 days worth of oil floating on the water right now. In order to really have a very difficult situation stateside, you'd need 90 days at above $90. We're only 1 month. And so the minute Hormuz is open, oil prices will drop to mid-70s, as they were prior to the conflict. The market will adjust immediately. It'll take about 2 weeks at the pump for it to drop. And that's what the market thinks is going to happen.
The strait's been closed for 25 days, and Brent crude still closed at under $100 a barrel. Obama had oil over $100 a barrel for 3.5 years. Biden had it over 100 for 5 months. It peaked at $140, and Democrats did nothing, blamed it on Russia. Oil closed over 100 under Trump for only 6 days. 6. The Dow closed up 300 points today, and money managers are bullish.
It's the first time in 60 years you've heard Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar all sing from the same song sheet, saying status quo doesn't work. That's really good for everybody because that's a lot more trade into Asia. That's the hub. UAE is the hub of trade for that whole region. That'll be a great outcome for investors like me. Hormuz will be open in perpetuity. We've got 22 nations talking about supporting that financially. That's just like the Suez or Panama Canal. Great for the region. It's a game changer in the sense that all of a sudden you have stability in the fastest growing part of the earth. It's very, very bullish for world markets.
The Arabs bought $300 billion of American AI. Can't have Iranian missiles flying over our best customers. The Saudis agreed to pump more to take the bite out of Trump's tariffs, and now they're working on a new land and sea route to get their oil out of the strait through the UAE and into the Indian Ocean. Iran looks like this is their last gasp, but some people would rather America lose the war because they hate Trump. Even the New York Times says, quote, the war is going better than you think. Desert Storm was considered a major military success, and we lost 75 aircraft. 3 weeks into Epic Fury, we haven't lost a single manned plane over Iran, not one. When we invaded Panama, 23 Americans were killed. Here, so far, we've had 13 casualties. More Americans died in training exercises last year than have died in this mission. In 2003, we launched a decapitation strike against Saddam and his lieutenants. We missed. Here, we smoked the Ayatollah and his whole team in the first 40 seconds. That war in Iraq, Saddam never had WMDs. Here in Iran, the Iranians, we know, have almost 1,000 pounds of uranium. And they told us it's enough to build 11 nukes. So far, this is the cleanest, most surgical, and one-sided operation in American military history. Now, anything could happen. War is hell. It's unpredictable. But people in the know in Washington think we're about to close it out with a pretty big blow.
We have the greatest, most powerful military fighting force ever conceived in the history of planet Earth. It's an amazing power that we have, and we wield it for good. I think we're wrapping up Operation Epic Fury. That's what I think. And I think it will be done in short order, and that'll be right on schedule.
Prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it, so that meant one thing to me, we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone, as the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum, racked up pretty good. And everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone. But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out. And the president, the gift they made to us was very significant. And they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the Strait, yeah, it was.
Since 1979, these people have been terrorizing the world. They've got American blood on their hands, and here's what we accomplished in 20 days. Their missile program has been obliterated.
But we
their
saw the
nuclear
missile that
program
went
has been
towards
obliterated,
Deir
and
Garcia.
they're running out of money. So here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Kharg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil, control that island, let this regime die on a vine. Hopefully the people will rise up. What I'm looking for is defanging Iran so we can move to peace. The Iranian people one day will have ability to take their country back. But we have the best chance in 2,000 years when Iran is neutralized for Saudi and Israel to recognize each other and the Arab-Israeli conflict. That is my goal. That is President Trump's goal. 2026 could be the biggest year since 1945 if we neutralize Iran. Don't let them do it again.
Necessary. Well, let me tell you, it is crucial that the president, that the US is doing this, to take out the nuclear capability and the ballistic missile capability, because this is posing a threat. It is an existential threat to Israel. It is a threat to the region. It is a threat to Europe, to the whole world. And so it is really crucial that the US is doing this. And I hope that people understand that argument, even if they're doubting whether it was necessary or not. It is necessary, and I commend the president's leadership on this.
The relationship's a very good one, I think so. We want more or less similar things. You know what we want? We want victory, both of us, and that's what we've got. Well, I may have a plan or I may not, but how would I ever say that to a reporter? If I said that to a reporter, Marco would say, "Please, sir, let's bring you over to the helicopter immediately." Right? I can't tell you that. It's certainly a place that's people are talking about, but I can't say. Yeah.
We have in our hemisphere a regime operated by an indicted narco-trafficker that became a base of operation for virtually every competitor, adversary, and enemy in the world. It was, for Iran, their primary spot of operation in the Western Hemisphere was Venezuela. For Russia, their primary base of operation in the Western Hemisphere, along Cuba and Nicaragua, was Venezuela. In the case of China, China was receiving oil at a huge, about $20 a barrel discount, and they weren't even paying money for it. It was being used to pay down debt that they were owed. This is the oil of the people of Venezuela, and it was being given to the Chinese as barter at a 20%, at a $20 discount per barrel in some cases. And so you had basically three of our primary opponents in the world operating from our hemisphere from that spot.
U.S. President Donald Trump hosted Latin American leaders in Florida on Saturday to announce the formation of a military coalition against drug cartels.
The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them.
At least a dozen.
War in this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary.
Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.